And there he is.
What's up, my man?
Southside's
How you doing?
own. What's up, baby? Southside's own. The pride.
That's
Of
right. Have to wear
the
my
pride
White
of
Sox hat
Southside
as we get ready
Chicago.
for baseball season this weekend.
Yeah, we're gonna talk baseball in a minute though. You already know that we're gonna get into
Of
baseball.
course.
And I kind of beat you to the punch because I talked about the Sox on Monday, but I want to hear what you got to say about your Sox in a moment. But let's get down to the business that you in, the fight game. What's going on, Ray? I know you was super excited when you saw that lineup get rolled out.
Look, when the lineup came on, let me preface this by saying this Showtime has done a tremendous job putting together, and along with Premier Boxing Champions, the promoters, TGB Promotions, Mayweather Promotions, everyone involved has done an excellent job. Now, the fights have to transpire, but man, this is an unbelievable schedule, especially in times of this pandemic. You are seeing world-class fights on this schedule. I mean, we can go down the list, but I call the fights for the international audience on the Premier Boxing Champion side, and I'm going to tell you this. It's going to be a little bit different when it comes to pay-per-view fight weeks and stuff like that, but I am so excited to get back to work. I am more than pumped for the fans to see these guys compete at a high level. Will we have 20,000 people in the arenas? No. But you know what? It means that much more people watching, at home on television, being safe in their homes. So I am so excited. And I mean, every fight that I'm looking at, the main events are terrific. There's even a fight that I mentioned on social media when it comes to Malik Hawkins. And Malik Hawkins has a tough fight against Subriel Matias on October 10th. Not little fights, but fights like that on the co-main event, the opening televised fights, all have me super excited because all of these guys have something significant to prove.
Man, I totally agree with you on that, and I'm going to show everybody who enters what the schedule is going to look like. What we just got done talking with Steven and Brian about and everything like that. But we were able to talk to David Benavidez this morning as well, and both to Angelo Leo and to Cool
Stephen
Boy
Fulton.
Fulton, and also we were able to talk to the Charlo twins as well too. Now, I know it's kind of cut off and everything like that, but as you guys can see, it's September 26th. It's going to be a pay-per-view doubleheader that's going to be at Mohegan Sun in Connecticut. How are you feeling about that big doubleheader? I think that with the way the pandemic is treating boxing this year, I think this is probably going to be the biggest fight of the year at that moment. Do you feel the same?
Well, yeah, absolutely. And you know what? You look at it this way. So the way that they're breaking it up is it's going to be, they haven't decided who's going to be the first main event. So it's going to be two pay-per-view cards essentially in one. So you pay one price for the pay-per-view. And from what I'm gathering, there'll be like three fights, during one part of the day, a break, and then the other three fights. You got to love that as a fight fan. So essentially two cards for the price of one and two killer main events. I talked with Jermell Charlo and Jason Rosario a couple months ago on PBC Instagram Live that I'm on every single Monday at 3 Eastern, noon Pacific time. Both guys said they wanted it. Both guys are in shape. Both guys want to unify the 154-pound division. That fight is happening. Then you have Jermall Charlo against Sergey Derevyanchenko. Derevyanchenko was in the Canelo sweepstakes and could have potentially fought Canelo Alvarez. This guy pushed Gennady Golovkin pretty much to the brink. Some people even thought that he got the victory. So you have that matchup. Both guys have such tough matchups, but both of the Charlo twins want to prove that they are the absolute best in their respective divisions. So I think that fight on September 26th, two pay-per-views for the price of one. It is going to be a wonderful time for fight fans. All I got to say is make sure you have your favorite drink, you have your favorite food. Thank goodness for, delivery. You don't even have to leave the comfort of your own home and check this out. I mean, man, oh man, this with Charlo, with both Charlos in huge matchups, I think is so appetizing to me in more ways than one.
All right, now let's get into to this one. Now, this one has been kind of cut off as well too. But as you guys can see, we got Tank and Leo Santa Cruz here. What are you thinking about this fight? And I did talk to Leo's team last night, and they did confirm everything for me because we've had all this talk the last few months, and some people don't even know. Some of these boxers aren't even getting the paperwork to actually make these fights happen. But this fight actually was in the works. I went and visited Leo back in February, March, and this fight was in the works. They already had a contract in place, all that good stuff. They already the conversation was where the location's going to be. And from what they're telling me last night, I know that pretty much they told us in the press conference everything is for Mohegan Sun, but I'm hearing that this fight is possibly going to be on the West Coast, either in LA or in Las Vegas. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, look, the fight in itself, I think, is a terrific fight. I've seen some people that have gone ahead and have maybe criticized it, but I think that it's an unfair criticism because both men want to prove that they are truly belong in the pound for pound rankings. Leo has never shied away from any opponent whatsoever. We have seen his career over the past 10 plus years almost. With Gervonta Davis, this is his biggest challenge to date. A guy who's going to come forward, who's going to throw a lot of punches. I mentioned it on your show a couple months ago, on your radio show. With Gervonta Davis, how is he going to handle someone that's going to come forward? And will Gervonta have enough power? I mean, we've seen that he has power, so there's no questioning that. But does he have the power to hurt Leo Santa Cruz and make Leo fight going backwards? How will Leo fight going backwards if that is the case? How will Gervonta fight going backwards if that is truly the case? Will Gervonta decide to be more of a counterpuncher? And will he wait for Leo to throw a lot of punches and leave an opening? Will he try to be more of a counterpuncher? Will he be effective as a counterpuncher? Those are things that I'm very curious about seeing. In regards to location, look, anywhere in the United States that this fight, that you can have safety of the fighters, that's the most important thing. But in my personal opinion, if I had my wish, if we can put some of this pandemic behind us and we can have some fans in the arena with social distancing and wearing masks, then I would love to see this fight happen in Los Angeles, at the Staples Center or at Dignity Health Sports Park, even if you have 4,000 people, or if you're at Staples Center, 8,000 people, whatever the government allows, that I think would be perfect. And I'll tell you why. Both men are supremely popular out here in Los Angeles. Gervonta Davis fought Hugo Ruiz, drew over 8,000 people, one of the largest crowds in Dignity Health Sports Park history. Yes, Leo Santa Cruz consistently, as you have seen, has drawn over 13,000, 15,000 people into the Staples Center. Fought at Microsoft Theater, pretty much sold that place out when he fought 4,000 or 5,000 people. So right. I would love to see that fight in LA with selected fans, if that is the case when it comes to safety. But if it happens at Mohegan Sun, it doesn't matter to me. But in a perfect world, that fight happens here in Los Angeles with some fans in attendance.
All right, so we saw that somebody wasn't on the schedule that a lot of people thought would be on the schedule. What's going on with the Claressa Shields situation? Was it that they couldn't find an opponent for her, or it's just they're maybe waiting on 2021 with her?
That I don't know because, Claressa Shields, she, is promoted by Demetrius Salita at Salita Promotions. And I know that, Showtime and Steven Espinoza, they've invested quite a bit in regards to women's boxing. It might be the case where this is just the PBC slate of Showtime boxing. So that's right. What I'm under the impression of. With Claressa Shields working and fighting with Salita Promotions, they may have a date that they have set aside. So I can't answer that. All I know is that from what I have been told, this is the rollout for Showtime and PBC, for PBC on Showtime. That's what I'm under the impression of. I believe that there's a possibility Claressa coming back. I would hope to see her come back because I think she is the best women's fighter in the world today. And it's hard for me to, argue against that. So I think Claressa Shields, if she wants to come back, if she's able to come back, if she's able to find a suitable opponent, if financially it works out, but I'm sure she wants to get back inside the ring sooner than later.
All right, and let's go ahead and talk about the 168 division real quick. I think we'll probably get a Caleb Plant fight probably on Fox. I know Fox has a schedule that they're going to probably roll out in about a week or two. But I'm just going off the picture that we just saw. David Benavidez, he has everybody bending the knee. He's at the he's the king and all that good stuff. So what are you thinking about that? Do you think maybe he might be thinking too far ahead, or you think it's right on time?
No, look, David Benavidez and Caleb Plant, there's no love lost between those guys. Right. They don't like each other. They can't stand one another. They're both alpha males. They're both world champions at 168. Caleb Plant has demonstrated his brilliance this year by annihilating Vincent Weigenboots at his homecoming in Nashville, over 10,000 fans. David Benavidez was supposed to have a homecoming in Arizona in April, but it obviously got pushed back because of the pandemic. So with that being said, he cannot overlook his opponent whatsoever coming up on August 15th. But the focus is his opponent right now. But they know, waiting in the wings, is that massive unification matchup against Caleb Plant. I believe both men will, you have Benavidez who has a fight coming up on August 15th on Showtime. Plant will likely, I hope Caleb will have a fight by the end of the year. And then once this thing, is in the rearview mirror, pandemic-wise, we can start to look at a fight in 2021 unification matchup between Benavidez and Plant. I think that's one of the best fights in boxing today. I think both guys have so much to prove, and I think both men come from different, unique backgrounds in their own way. David Benavidez has been fighting. Both guys have been fighting for a very long time. Benavidez was sparring, I think, Gennady Golovkin when he was 15, 16 years old. Caleb Plant started off as a kickboxer when he was 9, 10 years old, and then transitioned into boxing. And they both bring unique styles. Benavidez likes to throw punches in bunches, likes to physically wear you down. He likes to beat you up. I mean, look, what he was able to do, and Anthony Durrell, what a chin that he had, but he took some big shots from Benavidez. For Caleb Plant, Plant is a defensive wizard. Plant likes to make you miss. He's about the beauty of boxing, but he can mix it up as well. I think they both have very different, unique styles, but styles make fights. And together, I think that fight would be absolutely off the charts because of the physical chess match that we'd be seeing inside the ring.
All right, so we got the fight coming up on the 1st of August. What's your prediction with that? Like, I saw Angelo Leo fight a few times. I think he's already ready for the moment as it being a main event, because he did headline those last couple Mayweather cards as well too. He looked very impressive, and he did fight in a really good fight where he got a knockout. Do you think that maybe Fulton might be overlooking Leo a little bit? Because Leo is a very talented boxer.
I don't think so, but if he is, he better not, because Angelo Leo is the kind of guy that, does have some sting in his punches. There's a reason why, Floyd Mayweather and Leonard Ellerbe of Mayweather Promotions believe so highly in this young man. They don't waste their time with fighters, as you know. Right. Many, you've seen that they don't have a stable of 80 guys or whatever the case may be. And, Floyd is very well off financially. So if they wanted to, they could go ahead and sign a plethora of guys. They have a select stable. And with Angelo Leo, they believe that he could be that next young sensation at 122 pounds. And also, let us not forget that he comes from the New Mexico area, from Albuquerque. In Albuquerque, they love their combat sports. Recently, it has become, over the past 5 to 10 years, it's become a hotbed for mixed martial arts talent. But let's go back 20 years of the days when Johnny Tapia and Danny Romero were fighting in those lighter weight classes. Angelo Leo could very well take the mantle and bring boxing back down to New Mexico. I have covered and been down at events for probably 15, 16 events down in the New Mexico area for different events that I've covered. I did a lot of club shows, did club shows for Holly Holm, the Holmes brothers, Brandon and Pat. I did their events, and PBC went down to Albuquerque or the New Mexico area once or twice as well. So that is a fight fans hotbed. So if Angelo Leo can get the victory over Stephen Fulton, I think that he instantly becomes a star down in New Mexico. Now, taking a look at Stephen Fulton, I have followed him for a long time. This guy you cannot count out whatsoever because he constantly fights guys who are undefeated. He hasn't had the easiest road. This guy fought Joshua Greer when he was just 6 or 7-0 at the Sands Casino in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, back when PBC on FS1 had toe-to-toe Tuesdays. So right. I remember watching that fight and seeing Stephen Fulton get the opportunities and fight undefeated guy after undefeated guy. And he comes into the fighter meetings and talks with us and he goes, another undefeated guy in front of me. I'm going to show everybody. Just wait and see. And he always goes and does it. I can't count out Stephen Fulton. If you're asking me to break down this fight, I cannot give you a prediction, but if I was a wagering man or if I was leaning one way or the other, to me, this fight, I look at the experience of Stephen Fulton. So I give him the edge. I also give him the fact that Stephen Fulton, I thought, has fought a more diverse style of fighters. I think Fulton's competition has been a little bit better than Angelo Leo. But with Angelo Leo, he's been brought along well. I don't think he's been spoon-fed at all. So when Angelo Leo is going to be fighting the toughest challenge of his career, how is he going to be able to come out from that? Will he pass the test? Will Stephen Fulton vanquish another undefeated guy in his way? That's what makes this fight so damn compelling, so interesting, and I think it is the perfect main event to kick off August because this is going to be a fantastic rest of the year for boxing fans across the world.
I agree, man, because as soon as you start seeing the names rolling out, and you're like, man, these are some really good cards, and a lot of people have to understand this. I'm so happy when I saw his name there, and I'm like, finally they giving him some real love. That's Rolly Romero when they went ahead and said that he will be in a WBA eliminator on the 15th, and he's actually going to be they like to say co-main event, but I always like to say the fight before the main event. I always like to say, the buffer before the main event. That's what I like to say because I hate that word co-main event and all that stuff. If it's a co-main event, that means you're fighting for an actual belt, in my opinion. But he is fighting for the interim championship, and I think that's absolutely incredible right now. Coming from where he was at, and a lot of people kind of just overlooking the fact that seeing him as just a knockout artist. Now he has an opportunity to prove himself and get to that championship that he wants to get to, and then he can actually have a lot of say at the table. What are you thinking about that?
I think Rolando Romero is one of those young guys that is got some star potential behind him. I announced his last fight in Las Vegas when he was fighting on, before Wilder Fury #2, and he did very well. He looked impressive. He goes out and handles business. Leonard Ellerbe is extremely high on, Rolando Romero. I think that, he has the style. He has the personality. I think that he has the physical tools to be able to be very successful at 135. And it is a division that is, you look at the likes of Lomachenko and Teofimo Lopez, some of those names as well. But I think that, Rolando Romero is a young guy who can be a budding star in the making. But it takes a little bit of time. And here he comes back in the ring. And if I'm correct, I know that Rolando Romero got, I think he had the flu or something along those lines a couple months ago. That's behind him. So I am excited for Rolando Romero to be back inside the ring because I think that he has the makings of being something special. And the fact that this is his second fight this year, he could possibly maybe even get 3 by the end of the year. I think it speaks volumes because not many guys are getting 3 fights this year, especially in these times.
Well, if you fight for top rank, you might be able to get 3 fights in 2 weeks.
Who knows? I mean, man, oh man, they
I
pumped out
heard
fights.
they had a guy fight Tuesday and Thursday one week, the
Oh man.
heavyweight.
Hey, sometimes you have to be able to, fill those cards and stuff. I mean, these are
Right,
crazy times. Put it this way, I do not envy being a matchmaker in combat sports during these
right,
times. I give all the credit to all the matchmakers around the world for making things happen.
right. All right. So real quick, I saw that you interviewed James Jones the other day, and Jamal Jones. I'm so sorry.
Jamal
And
James, yeah.
yeah, Jamal James. Damn, I always get. And I've met the guy on plenty of occasions, and I
Yeah.
always mess it up. But thing is, what are you thinking about his card coming up on the 8th?
I think Jamal James and Tomas Delorme is a compelling matchup because you have Jamal James, who's in the midst of a 6-fight win streak, taking on a very tough and a game Puerto Rican fighter in Tomas Delorme. Delorme had a loss at the hands of Terrence Crawford years ago. He has gotten significantly better since that defeat. Jamal James, his only loss coming at the hands of Dennis Ugas, but since that time, 6 straight victories for Jamal James. I think Jamal James is a unique fighter at 147, and I'll tell you why. He stands 6 feet 2 inches tall. He uses his range very well, but he throws a ton of punches. Does he have the knockout power? No, but he's getting better when it comes to his body punching. He likes to overwhelm you with his volume, but also he can maintain his distance. So he darts in and out with his style, and that makes it troublesome for guys that are trying to gauge timing and when he's going to throw and when he's going to keep at range. Jamal James can mix it up. He's shown that he has a good chin. He proved that in the fight against Antonio DeMarco a year ago. But how is he going to respond to Tomas Delorme, who has a high ring IQ? The fact that Jamal James was in the ring years ago against Dennis Ugas says to me that I think he is going to be successful in his journey against Tomas Delorme, because you learn a lot when you fight the Cuban style of fighter, especially someone like Dennis Ugas, who is right there again at the top of the heap at 147. But Jamal James, 32 years of age, he knows that he has so much to gain in this fight against Tomas Delorme. For Delorme, you know that he saw what Felix Verdejo was able to do about a week ago, or even this week, when he looked impressive on ESPN. So right now, when it comes to Puerto Rican fighters, there is no significant and influential champion there. So who's going to take the mantle for Puerto Rican boxing? Will it be the likes of Tomas Delorme? Is it going to be Felix Verdejo, which people have written off so many times? Oh, is it going to be Edgar Berlanga, who looked mightily impressive yesterday? But Berlanga, I don't think, is close to a world title shot. So what's Delorme going to do? You know, he saw what Verdejo was able to accomplish. Now he's saying, okay, I go ahead and get this win over Jamal James. I become an interim champion. I get a big money fight after that. I win that big money fight. I'm a superstar in Puerto Rico. Puerto Rican boxing right now, it's who wants it? Will it be, is Tom going to go and take that mantle? Jamal wants to take the mantle from Minneapolis.
Man, and I'm thinking to myself, the way that things are working out in the business is that these two are actually really fighting for a chance or opportunity to get a net championship fight down the road, maybe seen as a tune-up fight or something of that nature, something, in the middle of, progress or something. Like maybe they could catch a Danny Garcia or Errol Spence as they're trying to tune up and get to that big fight right there. But from what I'm hearing is they're going right into that fight. But I'm thinking that they're thinking more of 2021 when it comes down to Spence and Garcia, because they really need to have fans there, and they still don't have a location for it yet too. But I was thinking maybe they could take this thing to New York when it comes down to Spence and Garcia. I think that would be a great venue to do it in Brooklyn. But we all know that LA is kind of calling Spence because he did do a great job. He showed his drawing power in Los Angeles, and I know maybe the city of LA might want some more of that, because Staples is wide open to having these events, man. They were even asking Top Rank. They were even saying that they were willing to have an empty arena for him as well too, but nobody ever called Staples. That's what they were saying.
Oh, well, you know what? That's news to me. And you know what? I
Yeah,
love Staples Center. It's probably
right.
25 minutes away from me, and a little bit less than that. So I'm all for fights at
Mhm.
Staples Center. But again, I hope that we can have fans in the arenas, although it'll be limited capacity. But it's important for us to have fans in the arena, assuming, again, that they are safe and able to maintain social distancing.
All right, one last boxing question, and then we're
Yeah.
gonna move on to baseball. So,
Mm.
all our people who are watching right now, if you enjoy baseball, stick around. But stick around just in general, because it's me and Ray. Come on, man, stop that. You already know what it is. You know. So, Edgar Berlanga. This
Yeah.
guy is now becoming a household name. We all know how ESPN loves to give you the hype jobs and all that good stuff and create these new superstars. What are you thinking about Berlanga? Do you think that next time up they're going to actually give him some real stiff competition? Or do you think that his power is just that overwhelming?
I think he has very good power. I think 14 wins, all of them in the first round by knockout, mightily impressive. But I think you need to, in their minds, and I'm, speaking just from an outsider's perspective, be careful what you wish for, because if you put him in too tough, then it shows vulnerability. So you don't want to show the vulnerabilities just yet. You want to gradually move him up the ladder. And if it's kind of the mindset of, throw different styles at him and start to, up his level of competition, but don't give him too much. Is he ready for an eliminator fight right now? I don't think so. But he's still so young. And right now, these are crazy times. We've seen so many upsets within the top ranked summer series over the past few months during what they've been able to do on ESPN. You got to be careful with some of your young budding prospects and your young hungry contenders, because there are guys who are preparing themselves, who are veterans, who are in the gym, who are in their homes, preparing themselves, ready to go. These quote unquote journeymen in boxing have a golden opportunity, because now it's hard to go ahead and find sparring, because you can't just jump on a plane, go to a different part of the country, and then have quality sparring. If you are a young prospect and you have financial power behind you from your promoter and your network, right now you can't necessarily utilize all your resources because of COVID. So it's almost like people are in some ways a level playing field. So these journeymen are preparing in some ways, some of the same ways as a young, hungry prospect or contender. So that's why I think that they got to be careful with Berlanga. I think he has all the tools in the world. I think he could be the young, up and coming Puerto Rican sensation, but in due time. Do not rush this kid too early, especially right now.
Hey, I totally agree, and that's exactly what I saw last night. No offense to his opponent, Moon, and I respect every boxer that steps into the ring and everything like that. But it looked like a glorified professional paid sparring session, in my opinion. You don't take the helmet, you don't have to go in there with the headgear or anything like that. But I think Moon had a good idea that we know this, right? Right. We watched we've been in the business long enough. We know that some guys know what they are. I always like to say DOA, but the thing is, I want to be respectful. That's the whole thing. And I just knew, looking at Moon, that he wasn't prepared for what was about to happen, man.
Well,
And
you know
that's
what? I'll tell you this. So, as I was watching the fight, I was like, man, oh man, Berlanga looked really impressive. I looked at the credentials of Moon, and then I saw on Twitter a very good friend of mine, Tay Jones, who's a young up-and-coming fighter down in the Atlanta area. He actually worked with Moon a little bit, and Tay will tell you like it is, and that's a fact. And he told me, and he put on social media, that Moon has worked a lot of guys in sparring and doesn't take big punches like that. So for Tay to say that and say how impressed he was by Berlanga, I'm like, okay, here's somebody who's worked with Moon before, who's seen him, give the business to fighters that have punching power, and he is bestowing some compliments upon Edgar Berlanga. So that to me was like, because I was a little on the fence like you, and then I saw that, and I'm like, okay, man, now I'm impressed. But like I said, proceed with caution. It's why you and I have so many conversations with people around the sport that we look up to and we admire and we value their opinion. And Tay is certainly one of those people. And for him to say that Edgar Berlanga did things that he's never seen done to the moon, I'm like, all right. But again, like I said, move him slowly.
That's what I'm saying too. See, that's the whole thing about young boxers when they're very talented. There's no reason to just pushing them, pushing and pushing and pushing. Wait till they get to their 20th, 21st fight to where they got enough experience, and then that's when we start really throwing out the killers and the people that are going to actually really challenge you, really the veterans of the sport. Most of these guys are fighting guys that are actually in their age frame. They don't have a lot of boxing. They don't have a lot of experience as a pro, but they may have some experience as an amateur, and that's exactly how you build up these super champions. And I think Berlanga has the potential to be one. But he is fighting in one of the toughest divisions in all of boxing, man. 168 is crucial, and it's tough. And to me, at 168, you got to have power, but you got to be able to know how to move your feet and move around a little bit as well, too. I see that problem with a lot of boxers in that division where they have a lot of power, but then they lack the footwork. Or they have great footwork, but they lack the power. It's a really, 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 really fun division. And I always feel like the ultimate boxers are at middleweight, 160, 168, 175, because that's where you have that line where you can have speed and power.
Well, that's such a great assessment. They are the hybrids because the heavyweights, you think of significant power, guys that can turn out your lights at any one moment. The lighter weight classes, power, yes, but more focused on speed and quickness and mobility. Whereas when you have the fighters in the middleweight division, 168, 175, they got the pop, but how many times have you heard, especially at the truly elite level, like someone like a Caleb Plant, they're like, man, Caleb moves like a featherweight or a lightweight. Or they'll say about David Benavidez, man, he punches like a heavyweight, because they're that hybrid. And that's what I love about 160, 168. We all know about the welterweight division being the money division in boxing. But 60, 68, and man, a division I love very much, 154. That has been a consistent division for years. I mean, honestly, to be brutally honest with you, my man, all these divisions in boxing right now look really good. I mean, you look down the list, and I don't think there's one division that you could say is kind of light. The only division, maybe the cruiserweight division, because there are a lot of fighters that I haven't seen on the UK and European fighters. But other than that, and even that division's really good. Right. So it's like all these divisions in boxing look so appetizing.
And you know what? Cruiserweight has always been kind of overlooked. I remember that you would rarely see cruiserweight fights as a main event or even on big cards or things of that nature. But because I guess they always see it as somewhat of a tweener division between guys that are maybe deciding if they want to be a light heavyweight or be a heavyweight. But usually most times those guys become heavyweights eventually because they can't keep getting down to 190. So, you know, I just always feel like they're just a smaller version of heavyweights, but they move a little bit better at the same time too, though, because they have that 190 weight limit and everything like that. But cruiserweight, I would love for that one to get a lot more attention. But I know they did pretty good with Usyk when he was able to, unify all the belts and everything. And that's the key thing about divisions is if you unify every belt, that division is a happening division because now you have a kingpin of that division. You don't have these assorted alphabetical titles running around. And that's what's going to make 154 so special right now because we know the WBO belt is, I don't know if it's if anybody's won it yet or anything like that, but we know 154, Jaime Munguia has already surrendered that belt. So I'm thinking to myself, we might see a unified champion at 154 within the next 18 months, to be honest with you.
Well, I mean, we have the unification matchup coming up on September 26th right. with Rosario and Charlo. So that, to me, with the exception of the WBO title, that is going to be the best in the world at 154 with Jermell Charlo and Jason Rosario. And Julian Williams, I had him on last week on 3 o'clock Eastern, noon Pacific time on Monday, and he told me that he's going to have an interim fight, and then he will get the winner of that prospective matchup. So that is how 154, at least told to me by Julian Williams, is going to play itself out over the next few months.
All right, so hey, and I'm excited, man. I can't wait because we got the WBC, the IBF, and I know that WBA has 2 belts and everything like that. And I'm guessing the one that Lara and
Castaño
fought for, that one is kind of in purgatory because Castaño was stripped of that belt. It was a draw and all that good stuff. So that's one that you kind of think about as well too. But I know that, hey, a lot of people, we're talking about 154. Nobody's talking about Mr. Eslandi Lara, and I think that, hey, he got all right and all say to get one of these guys in a big unification fight once all that happens as well too. It seems like they just don't mention him as much as they should. You know what I mean?
Stylistically, he's a nightmare. That's why. And also, just wanted to let you know, want to point out a great strength and conditioning coach, Scooter. They call him Scooter. His name is Dave. He works with a lot of top guys. Daniel Jacobs out in New York. He's watching the show. Great to see that Scooter is doing his thing out in New York. I mean, I think if you watch this guy, he puts on unbelievable workouts for top-level fighters. Anyways, with Lara, Erislandy Lara, coming off of the win against Canelo Alvarez's brother, Ramon Alvarez, pretty much destroyed him in August of last year in Minneapolis. And Lara is just waiting for an opportunity. And I assume that he will probably be, a fight announcement's going to happen. He might be on the Fox side of things. So on the Showtime roll down, their schedule with PBC, and now these names that you're bringing up, I assume will probably be on the Fox side of things, and I'm very interested to see what Fox is going to roll out over these next few months. So, Lara is still getting better. He is, so tough stylistically to handle because he's a Cuban fighter, but also over recent memory, he has gotten more exciting because he doesn't have the mobility in his legs as he's gotten older. But it makes him sit down in his punches more. It makes him use his jab more. It makes him, engage more. So we'll see who Lara is going to step inside the ring with hopefully soon.
Yeah, man, that's one of my top guys right there. And I know I'm not going to say anything, but I always feel like he did win that fight against Canelo. But you know what, man?
Close
it is
one.
what it is. It is what it is. It is what it is. Canelo's still a great fighter. You're great. But I just felt like the Cuban style was something that he really couldn't deal with that night, man. And, it is what it is. That's what body shots are for. That's what power shots are for. And that's exactly what got him over the top in that fight. So, hey, that was a war. And that you a bad man when your promoter runs in there and says, no rematch, not at all. Oscar screamed that out into the heavens that there wasn't going to be a rematch. So, hey, it is what it is. But, hey, man, let's jump into it, though, man. I know because I can see you chomping at the bit, boy.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and jump into them White Sox, man. Break it on down for us, right? Because I didn't give y'all the greatest, the greatest breakdown because I felt like they were going to be my little secret this year because the White Sox got a lot of talent. And they've been over there scouring, they neighbors with the Dodgers, so they've been scouring the Dodgers' little teams and things like that, picking up players as they go and things of that nature. When they were at 30 wins, I feel like they can go over that 30 wins, but now they put them at 32 and a half. I don't know if they can get past that point. The Central is either going to be tough or it's going to be mediocre. What are your thoughts?
I think the Central is going to be tough because the Twins are projected by ESPN to win the division. Mm-hmm. The Indians are always, you cannot count them out, especially with Lindor that's there. I think he's one of the best shortstops in all of baseball. For the White Sox, though, the absence of Michael Kopech is something that is troubling. I know that, I don't think that they've said as to why Kopech is not going to be pitching, but, he made the decision. And during these times, I agree with him. If he wants to take care of himself and his family, hey, by all means, safety first and, the overall well-being of your family. The White Sox lineup, though, with Tim Anderson and Eloy Jimenez, they look so good offensively this year. I'm really excited about this team. I just bought a White Sox jacket. I put it on Twitter last week, an old school White Sox jacket. And I think that if the starting pitching is there, if they can give 6 solid innings and then get to the bullpen with the lineup being as prolific as it is, I think the White Sox can really make a significant run. Any team right now in baseball has a chance. This 60-game season, I'm more of a new school. I've been watching baseball for as long as I've been born, over 30-plus years. But I think that with baseball coming into this new age, this new social media age, the season needs to be dwindled down a little bit. A 60-game season is a sprint. Anything can happen. How many times do you see in baseball teams that win that after 70, 80 games are looking really good and the bottom falls out in the second half of the season?
Right.
Here, it is literally a sprint. And for the White Sox having the offensive power that they do, for the most part, they should be in every game. But how is the starting pitching going to perform? I love the addition of Dallas Keuchel with the White Sox. I think that he's going to be a significant asset to showing what it is to be a veteran and how to bring forth a level of professionalism to the young pitchers within that starting rotation. Kopech being gone is an issue, but Keuchel being the veteran sort of brings that team, and it brings a sense of calm to that starting staff. Tim Anderson won the batting league championship last year, and I think that Tim Anderson is going to have another tremendous year. I love the youth. I love the energy. I love the passion. This White Sox team has been building for a few years. And trust me, being a White Sox fan, as an outsider, we have been laughed at from the Northsiders and those at Wrigley Field and within Cubs Nation. But guess what? The White Sox are built to win for a very long time. And this season, in my opinion, benefits them because they look tremendous in both games against the Cubs on Sunday and Monday. Now the season starts tomorrow. I think if they get off to a good run, they need to start off strong. Young teams it's a mental game. Veteran teams have been battle tested. They've dealt with the ups and downs, ebbs and flows of a season. But a young team like the White Sox, they have got to get off to a good start. A good start to me, 7-3, 8-2 would be nice, but those first 10 games are going to be so telling as to how the rest of the year is going to go for the White Sox. I don't have my White Sox Kool-Aid right now, but you better believe I am drinking it, and I might be becoming a little bit intoxicated on my White Sox Kool-Aid because I am super pumped for this year. I think they're going to be really, really good, and I'm so excited to see how these results play out. But again, I can go from being super excited if it's on the opposite end and they're 4-6 or 3-7 after 10 games, then that might fall by the wayside. I'm still going to support my team, but it's going to be telling. This team needs to get off to a good run so that mentally they can have that confidence moving forward.
Hey, I totally agree. And you beat me to the punch when you said it's going to be a sprint. It reminds me of the 6th race at Delmar or at Santa Anita turf race, and it's a sprint. And what's going to happen is that pretty much if you break bad, you probably are not going to be able to catch up with the rest of the field. But if you're one of the better teams and you break bad, it's going to be okay because you do get some time off, and then you know how to get on a consistent winning streak. The teams that are in the middle and the teams that are in the bottom, they have to break well to even have a chance. That's my thing. If the Dodgers come out and lose the 7 out of their first 10, I think they're still in great shape because then they can still dominate their division. But when you have a team, say, like the Kansas City Royals, once they break out and lose 7 out of 10, that's the season. You know what I mean? That's the season for them because their team is not built to consistently win. But we know the Dodgers, Yankees, those teams are going to be teams that are going to win 10, 12 in a row when it's time to win those games. You know what I mean? So it's going to be it's going to be a fun, intriguing season, in my opinion, and I just cannot wait, man. I just cannot wait.
I think baseball, to me, is going to be a bit more appealing than what the NBA is going to be, because we're still seeing some high-level baseball being played in these exhibition games, and I think it's going to get better. The NBA, I'm a fan of it, but I don't know what to expect. I don't know how these guys are going to be. I mean, they were in the middle of their season already, so and they were dwindling down to getting towards the playoffs. So how is the level of basketball going to play out? Are they going to be as willing to engage in physicality with the pandemic going on? Are we going to see physical play in the paint, or is it going to be more of even that much more of a finesse game? I grew up watching late 80s, early 90s, basketball. So I love that physicality. That has since sort of dissipated to make it more exciting and offensive friendly. But now with this pandemic, are guys going to be even that much more reluctant to throw some elbows and really get in the paint and go after rebounds and play with their back to the post? Or all we going to see is nothing but jump shots everywhere and guys taking, 25-foot shots and jumpers all over the place? I don't think that's good for the game either. I hope I'm wrong, but I think we get a better baseball season compared to that of the NBA. But again, we have to wait and see.
I'm with you. And who do you like? Who presents the best value for you in the bubble? And I know you in LA right now, and they probably got you torn apart because your Bulls have to go ahead. And if I was Chicago, I wouldn't participate in what they were trying to invite them to.
Yeah, don't.
I feel like that's kind of insulting that, you A teams can come over and honor your TV contract. That's exactly what they're saying, is honor your TV contract, and we'll let you guys have some practice time. No. You already said that we're not invited, so we're not invited.
And I'll tell you this, the Bulls should not be invited to what is going on right now. The Bulls were terrible. Jim Boylan has led them to the toilet bowl of the NBA. Gar got fired, but Pax is still there pulling the strings. Pax got to go too. Not even one NBA Finals appearance since Michael Jordan left. That's been almost 20 years, or probably 20 plus years. So he's got to go. Pax has got to go. A new front office, retool. I don't think that any of the young guys should be given, don't put them in a practice bubble. Don't put them in any bubble. Don't even put them in the movie Bubble Boy. If Bubble Boy 2 comes out, leave them alone. Let them be at home. Let the elite teams play and perform, and then the Bulls will get ready for next season. I don't want to see the Bulls back in any way, shape, and form until next season. But as I'm leaning towards a prediction when it comes to this NBA, it's hard to top what the Los Angeles Lakers. And look, I am the president, quote unquote, of the LeBron James Haters Club, because I'm not a fan of him with what he did. I still hold some sour grapes as to him shunning Chicago and going to Miami and hanging out with Wade and Bosh, whatever. I'm not a LeBron fan at all. But as I look at the way that this NBA season has gone, it's hard for me to go up against LeBron and Anthony Davis. And I know that there's questions about what's going to happen with Rajon Rondo with his hand injury. Alex Caruso, who is getting a lot more attention, bypassed his sister's wedding to remain in the bubble because he's so focused on trying to do as much as he can to get better and be an integral part of that offense and helping to lead the team. But LeBron looks great. Anthony Davis looks great. I think that the Lakers are really poised to make significant headway. But again, you don't know. And I forgot, I think it was Charles Barkley who came out and said that if the Portland Trailblazers play the Lakers in the first round, he's leaning towards the Blazers to get the win. Damian Lillard, who is a big boxing fan, and we love seeing Dame out at fights and everything else, Dame Lillard is a bad, bad man. Plus, CJ McCollum, they both have had time to rest. They both can light it up. How's the defense going to be like when games start happening? If there isn't as much attention to defense because guys don't want to get close to one another, that favors more of a finesse team like the Portland Trailblazers. And if I'm the Lakers, I want to stay far away from the Blazers as much as possible and let them handle business on the opposite side of the playoff bracket. 8-game season to begin the bubble, and then we get the playoffs. It's going to be a lot of fun.
And I'm going to tell you right now, I truly do feel that we will get ourselves a big upset here, but it's going to come in the way of these teams that are on the actual bubble of getting into the playoffs. I feel like for some odd reason the Nets will figure out a way to drop out of this thing, even though I know they kind of set they're set, but the Nets are really thin right now. And I was really high on the Nets. I really liked them a lot. But the Nets are making all the moves of thinking about next season. Do you think maybe Washington could play a part in this? I know John Wall is not going to be playing or anything, but they got new life because, honestly, they could have been left out of this situation. What do you think about that?
I think Washington is they have such a wonderful backcourt. They can't stop anybody, but they can put up a ton of points.
Right.
And it goes back to my point. How is the defense going to be in this NBA right now moving forward? That is the question. Because of this pandemic, are guys going to want to really stick up on guys and be in their chest and play strong, tough defense? Or are guys going to lay back a little bit and it be more of a finesse game? If it's more of a finesse game, teams like the Wizards, teams like the Blazers are going to be that much more successful. LeBron could probably go off for 40 to 45 points a game if he's not getting crowded going down the lane, because LeBron is like a locomotive. You get him at the top of the key, and he's going right down the paint, and he's not going to be stopped. If guys are reluctant to put a body on somebody, that changes the complexity of the game, and it favors more of these finesse teams. Another team that I'm very curious about is the Memphis Grizzlies. Ja Morant, I think, is an absolute exceptional talent with what he was able to do. And Valanciunas, I don't know if Valanciunas, I believe he's healthy now. He had some injuries. Justice Winslow bringing forth some sort of a veteran-like presence to their backcourt. I think the Grizzlies are a team to keep your eye on as well.
And don't forget about Jaren Jackson either, man. That boy can ball. Hey,
Jared Jackson can put it up.
One of the most backcourts that you can think of in the NBA right now is Morant and Jackson. And I'm telling you, if they played, say, New York City, for Brooklyn, Chicago, everybody would be talking about these guys left and right. But when I said it on the show yesterday, when you play in a place like Memphis, they're not going to really recognize that. Even Paul Gasol, in all of his greatness, you think of him as a Laker, not as a Grizzly. Even though the Grizzlies was the best part, that was the superstar part of his career. You know what I mean? So that's what you think about. And then only person you can think about with the Grizzlies all the time is a guy who was kind of like a road warrior at that moment, and that's going to be Zach Randolph.
Zebo. Yeah, Zebo.
So,
Zach Randolph.
But that's what type of team they are. They are perfect at how they're labeled. They're a grinder team, and they're not in the grind house, but they are grinders, and that's what they do. They grind games out, and that's why they're in the position that they are in now. And that's a great assessment, Ray. I'm glad that you threw them out there as well, too.
Well, I love the Grizzlies. I love the Grizzlies. And you know what? Being in Memphis before, Memphis is a basketball town. They love their Grizzlies. And I got to tell you what, nothing like going to their arena. I believe it's the FedEx Forum, enjoying some basketball, and then going out and getting some Memphis-style barbecue out in Beale Street because, man, I do love some Memphis-style barbecue. So some of my heart is the Memphis Grizzlies have always been one of my – I have the NBA League Pass, and when I'm going around and I'm watching games, especially at 4 o'clock Pacific time, and the Grizzlies are on, that's one of my low-key teams that I really like to kind of root for. I'm a Bulls fan, but the Grizzlies I've kind of adopted in many aspects.
Right, because you like that physicality, and they always play with physicality. That's one thing that they've been doing over the last decade. A lot of people don't understand that part, but the reason why the Grizzlies have had partial success is because they've always played really good defense. When they're really bad, they're not playing good defense. But when they play great defense, they really can keep up with anybody. And Memphis has proven to be one of the toughest places to win at, period, point blank in the NBA. So, hey, you picked out a really nice team, and that's the team. And see, for me, a team that I kind of look at, I'm a big Laker fan, but a team that I really like looking at before everybody wanted to be there was Brooklyn. Now they got Kyrie and KD, and they're kind of messing up the whole chemistry, what the team is going to be. Now I'm starting to feel like it was when the Big Three came over there and everything. And, pretty much now I look at a team like, say, Sacramento, I love the talent that they have on Sacramento, but it's going to be a long journey for them because Marvin Bagley just was confirmed out and I just feel like, pretty much if they can ever get him healthy and Buddy Hield can really go ahead and turn back into Buddy Hield, who was at Oklahoma, Sacramento could play a little bit of a, spoiler a little bit here in the Western Conference. Because, see, if you've been drafting in the lottery for the last decade, you should be able to have a feasible team at some point, in my opinion. They're starting to become like the Cleveland Browns of the NBA, man. You sit up in here, you got all these top picks, and then you're not doing anything with them. So, well, but that's one team I do like, and I think that maybe before Bagley was out, I thought maybe they could run the table a little bit. One more thing though. Y'all know Ray's a big foodie and everything like that.
Yeah, yes, I am.
And we have a great debate and you've eaten food in Texas, you've eaten food in California, and you're a burger man, I know. So what's better, Whataburger or In-N-Out? That's the question I asked.
Oh,
everybody.
Man, you're putting me on the spot. Whataburger or In-N-Out? Okay, I'm going to tell you this is an unpopular opinion, but I'm going to lean towards Whataburger, and I'll tell you why. I'm a carb guy. I am a fry guy. The burger at In-N-Out is better. But in terms of overall experience, pound for pound, in regards to my plate and my food, if I'm going to go fast food, I don't want to get a burger and no fries. I got to get fries. It's why I like Jack in the Box. And I know it sounds ridiculous, but I love Jack in the Box. I'm a Jack in the Box guy because when I go to Jack in the Box, I get my burger, I get my curly fries, I get my tiny tacos, I can get some chicken tenders, some jalapeno poppers. The options at Jack in the Box are endless. But to get to your original question, in regards to fast food, if I'm enjoying fast food, I want a burger, I want fries. I'm sorry, bro. The In-N-Out fries are terrible. Let me reiterate that. In the words of Charles Barkley, they're terrible. The fries at Whataburger are that much better. Different caliber of burgers. Small, compact burger with In-N-Out. The cheese is great. Animal style. Sign me up. But the burger at Whataburger is massive. A little bit too big for me. But the fries put it over the top when it comes to overall experience. If you're asking me to compare the actual hamburger in itself, give me In-N-Out all day burger-wise. But overall, Whataburger gets the victory based on the fries. I'm a carb man myself.
See, if we're judging in boxing, I'm going to be that messed up judge. We're going to have to put this one as 114-114. That's a split decision. So that means it's 2-0-1 right now because Virgil said Whataburger, but he's from Texas, and we had El Professor. He said Whataburger as well too. So there it is, man. We got about 40 seconds, so I'm gonna let Ray go, and I'm about to start the other show in about 30 minutes. But Ray, thank you so much for coming on in with us, brother. It's always a pleasure. We're gonna get back to this thing in a few weeks, and you already know what it is. It's your boy Pop DiBiase signing out for Fanatics View.